Here I am with the BSA A65, which I recently completely rebuilt the engine for, and then once I had it running I found that it was smoking excessively, especially on the right hand side, bit on the left as well. And I've already remarked that I didn't think that the new piston rings looked all that great, even though they gapped okay in the bores. There was nothing on them even to sort of say which of the compression rings was the first and second, or top and second, or which way up they had to go or anything. So complete indifference there as to which compression ring went where and which way up any of them went, including the oil rings. So no markings at all on any of them. These are those with the broken oil ring. So all I can say about those is that they fitted in the bores okay and seem to gap okay, but I rather see marks on the rings telling me which way up they're meant to go, because that sort of suggests that perhaps there's been a bit of care or thought or quality, or even, you know, they're designed to go one way up maybe. And these here, those are the ones I've just taken out with the broken oil ring, that pair. These are the set of rings that were in it when I stripped it, and although they weren't excessively worn, when you're doing a full engine rebuild it's sort of nice to stick new rings in and think that you're doing the job properly. So I may not have even really needed to change them, but I did. The compression rings, again, got nothing on them to say which one is the top one and which is the second one, but the oil rings have got marks on them, and that would suggest to me, hopefully you can see that letter in there, that this would be the top side of the oil ring. So at least there is an orientation for the oil rings. And I have had engines smoked before where oil rings have been fitted the wrong way up. I even did it once myself, ironically, on, of all things, a BSA A65. Flipped the oil ring over and then everything was alright. So you've really got to look. Those marks are quite proud and prominent, some are less so. But anyway, so I would say that those rings that I took out are probably of a better quality than the ones that I put in and ended up with the broken oil ring. Now moving on, I've got new rings here now, and here we have the oil rings. Now I'm pleased to say that even though they don't appear to have anything on them to say which way up they ought to go, they do actually have spring assisters behind them. So I got a feeling that these are going to work rather well on controlling the oil. They'll be slightly more tricky to fit than the other type, but a worthwhile improvement, because I think they're going to go in and there ain't going to be any more smoking once they're in there. So nice oil rings there, scraper rings. Second rings, I have them here, are these. If I can just slip them out the envelope without dropping them while I hold the camera. You see that they've got markings on them and the word top. Now that means that that is the top face of the ring. It doesn't mean that that is the top ring. So I know that they've got an orientation to work properly. So that's the second rings. They're secondary compression and also act as a secondary oil scraper or control to some degree. So they've got to be the right way up. And then lastly, we've got the top compression rings here. Now these, bear with me, have also got a mark on them. They haven't got the word top, but they've got a mark on them. So that would suggest to me that that wants to be the top face of those rings, and they're in the bag, which clearly states that they are for the top groove in the piston. So in spite of not actually having the word top on them, they are the top rings and they are going to go that way up. So I'm going to very, very carefully fit these piston rings to the pistons now, and then very, very, very carefully fit the cylinder barrels over the pistons and rings using my ring compressors again. Hopefully this time all the rings will go into the engine intact, or go in intact and stay intact when the engines run, whichever may have been the case. And I'm hoping to have this running a bit later on today, and fingers crossed without any smoke. So this little video will be tacked onto a longer one later on, hopefully, and with the wind behind me and fingers crossed, perhaps all will turn out well eventually. Watch this space. Well, here we are with that BSA A65 again, and I've literally just finished bolting the fuel tank back on and connecting the fuel pipes up after doing a full top end strip and rebuild on this today to change those piston rings which had the broken oil ring for another set. And I've got to say that the set that's in there now looked a far better job than the other ones actually, although the first lot weren't cheap. Still got all my tools and everything scattered around here, and I'm just going to try and start it up now. Hopefully it's ready to go, and let's keep an eye on those exhausts if it does fire up. I mean, I say if it does fire up, it should. Here we go. Let's see how we get on. Good oil return, as before. Now usually within a minute or two we were getting clouds of smoke, so I'll keep it running. Pretty sure we would have seen quite significant clouds of smoke by now, so I'll keep it running. We'll run it for a bit longer and just make sure. It only took a minute or two, I know. That's looking far more promising. Let's just start it up again. Now I've got decent rings in there. I might have to set the tick over up again, because I was chasing a tick over before with the plugs fouling and probably a slight loss of compression too. So what I'll probably do with it next is just run it up and down the lane. I won't video that. Bring it back, set up a tick over, and we're going into sunset now. So I'll probably leave taking a ride on it of 15 miles or so till tomorrow. I think that's done it. Yeah. I'll run it up and down the lane, get a tick over sorted and put it away until tomorrow probably, and then we'll go for a ride on it. But that's looking far more hopeful and promising now. Hopefully I might even go to bed a happy man tonight without worrying about where the smoke is coming from on this thing. Here we are, one happy BSA A65. No hands kick. I've been up and down the lane on it now, so it's fairly warm. I just fitted new spark plugs to it because there was a slight miss. The one spark plug might have been a bit spoilt by the oil, I think, due to the broken oil ring. No smoke at all. That's what we like to see. That's what you'd expect from a rebuilt bike, rebuilt engine. So there we go. The weather's supposed to be good tomorrow, so I'm aiming to get a run on this, and if it's a nice day I might even take it up the mountain, but we'll get a few miles on it tomorrow, make sure all is well, and then hopefully that'll do. Much better.